Happy Money Monday. Super excited for today's topic because this is how my financial nerd brain works. I'm in the process of closing on an investment property, and I retrospectively looked back, actually ran the numbers from when I bought the house to now, and included all the expenses. I'm looking for true return on investment of this investment in 2011 compared to, so a rental property compared to the S&P index fund, which I love because it's easy and it has a long historic value of yielding, and it's just I can do it in my jammies from my computer, and the convenience of that versus the touch of work that goes with real estate investing. And I just wanted to run these numbers and say, okay, if I would have taken that same money in 2011 when I bought this particular piece of property, and I would have just dumped it in the S&P index fund at that time, which the index funds had a good run since 2011 as well, where would I be? And the numbers actually startled me a little bit. So I thought, if I'm interested in this and you're interested in how to accumulate wealth and invest diligently and be a good steward of the money that you have, like what do these numbers look like? So here's the situation. In April of 2011, so historically, just to put it in perspective, especially here in Phoenix, 2008 things went bonkers around the world, definitely in America, and the real estate market went crazy this way. 2008, 2009, 2010, it bottomed out-ish, 9, 10, and then it started slowly coming back. A lot of people at that time were struggling financially. A lot of people at the same time were looking to buy things at value, me being one of them. And I was buying some investment homes in the area. That's how we ended up moving here, by the way. But I love it down here. It's sunny, even though there's weed whackers. Everyone says there's like helicopters and airplanes. It's just a weed whacker a couple houses away. But so it's gorgeous here, looking at houses, and then I thought, okay, here's a good house. And this example, by the way, of this particular house was a great buy. And you have to be prudent on the buy in real estate. It's always said you make money when you buy something in real estate, not when you sell something. So I was very prudent with buying some. Felt like a hoarder's house. The guy was cool, but man, you had to walk through books and junk, and so it was that kind of house. I bought it for $78,000 in April of 2011. Now, we're going to close in this house somewhere in the neighborhood of $250,000 today, which sounds flippin' amazing, and it is amazing. That's why I love real estate. That's why I love investing, because if you're patient and you buy right and you have cash when other people don't, you have the really opportunity to improve wealth for you and your family. So a $78,000 purchase in April of 2011 is going to sell for $250,000. By the time you pay real estate fees, by the time I calculate, I've had 2 rounds of improvements, including to sell it. Had to spend about $6,000 in carpet and paint and all this. And along the way, if I calculate the insurance I had to carry, the HOA fees, if I calculate all of that, and I look at, okay, what was the net accumulation of this what did that $78,000 grow to in this real estate investment in 8 years, by the way? So 8 years, $313,000. It's awesome. Like, that doesn't include taxes and some of the other things too. But that's a great investment. It's actually a 19% yield. So I thought, okay, that's pretty amazing. 19%. Were there some headaches along the way? Absolutely. Were there some management issues along the way? Absolutely. But man, I'm willing to put up with some headaches and some management issues for a 19% yield on my money. Now, lately, I've been a big advocate of the S&P index fund just because it's so convenient. Truly, like, buy, sell, do it every month. And I thought, okay, what if I would have, which I was investing in the S&P index fund back then too, but what if I would have taken this exact same $78,000 and just dumped it into the S&P index fund on the exact same date I bought this house? What would it be worth today? So that $78,000 dumped in April of 2011 today would be $183,000, and that's taking into consideration some of the capital gains tax too. So not a perfect comparison, but pretty darn close. That's an 11.5% return. So when you look at that, and I didn't do the math. I did do the math, but I didn't commit it to memory. It's 19% for real estate compared to 11.5% in the index. And again, this is a case study. You can't, like, hey, if I get into this, isn't like, this is one of those if I had an asterisk here, like, I don't know if Stitch could put an asterisk right there. if I had an asterisk, I'd say yields vary. This is just one situation, and it was a great house to buy, and it was also a time when the index fund was yielding like obviously 11.5%, which is a great yield. So, but if you look at that, real estate was 19%, S&P index was 11.5%. But here's the things to consider, and that was roughly $900 a month difference if you wanted to space it out over that time. Like, was it worth $900 a month for me to manage and deal with that property? And that's a question you need to decide when you run these numbers. And you know, there's the weed whacker dude. So that's really, I don't know if you guys get that. Maybe put a comment if you're hearing the weed whacker dude. Not my yard, but it's loud. But I want to talk about the difference now between real estate and S&P. Like, which one should I choose? I believe ultimately you should have a balanced portfolio of both. But if you're like, what should I do? What are the advantages and disadvantages of both? Well, in real estate, let's look at real estate first. Real estate, the cool thing about real estate is you have a monthly revenue. In this example, by the way, which is unusual, from April of 2011 until today, I've had the same renter. So there is no vacancy, no missed rent, no headache of turning this. Actually, I've had one switch, one change in renter in 8 years. You know, you have that paint thing, clean thing, flip thing, does it sit vacant thing. But that's a pretty unusual situation for rental properties to have 1 or 2 renters over an 8-year period. So, but the cool thing is you do have a monthly cash flow. The second thing is typically, not always, but typically the real estate market is less volatile than the stock market, than index funds. So it typically goes up and down with inflation, and other than that real nasty thing we had in 2008 in my lifetime, it's been pretty solid. The other thing you have to think about with real estate, it's called passive investment. Like, if people talk about real estate like it's a passive way to get rent and positive cash flow and blah blah blah, it's not completely passive. Honestly, it's not. There's work involved, and anybody who tells you there's not is just not being honest. Now, if you structure it properly, there are things you can do to outsource some of that, have someone manage your property, but then again, that goes into your bottom line because you pay for expenses. The other thing too I like about real estate is it adjusts with inflation, and that's awesome. With S&P index fund, what I like about it, the pro of it, is it's liquid. Literally, you can be in your jammies and go, I need some cash out of this fund, and as soon as a day and as long as 3 days, you have that back. The problem is it is more volatile. If you need money quickly and you have to pull it out at a time when the market is down significantly, that's a problem, and you might have to eat that. And the most amazing thing about the S&P index fund is the ease component to it. So that's what you need to look at. I would recommend. I just think that I love numbers because they don't lie. So when I think about this, I'm like, it comes down to this, like, knowing what I know now, would I invest $78,000 in real estate in 2011 or $78,000 in an S&P index fund, knowing that I could make net 8% more, or not, whatever that was, 11.5 to 19%, 7.5% more. And that's just for because all that 7.5% is buying you is convenience. I don't know, I may need to reshoot this. It feels like there's like an alarm going off over there. So much for the calm palm trees and serene setting of Phoenix. Sounds like a house alarm. Maybe it's Armageddon. I don't know what's going on. But I don't think I'm going to reshoot it because I have stuff to do today. Glad you're here. Glad you're hanging out. And I'm glad you're interested in money and investing for your future, because it just frees up everything else in Oola. It frees up the other 6 areas just like that. So until I see you next time on Monday, without the weed whacker and without the whatever, carbon monoxide detector, be grateful, have faith, and go get your Oola life.